and realize their own dreams.
The Commemorative Air Force honors the heroes of yesterday while educating and inspiring the heroes of tomorrow.
Your future and how you live your life is dependent on how you think.
You can learn more at soundsofhistory.org right now.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Former President Trump making a special announcement this evening. That announcement expected to make official his entering the race for the presidency in 2024. The announcement at 9 p.m. Eastern. Arizona voters elected Democrat as governor, as we hear from correspondent Tim McGuire.
Early Monday evening, Maricopa County, Arizona Board of Supervisors Chair Bill Gates told reporters the last big collection of ballots would be counted that night.
We have less than 100,000 left. This will be a big drop of votes.
The AP reports that Democrat Katie Hobbs' narrow lead over Republican Carrie Lake held, as that last big batch of ballots showed. Lake did not have the numbers to catch up. Hobbs is the first Democrat elected governor in Arizona since Janet Napolitano 16 years ago. I'm Tim McGuire.
Also at townhall.com, the U.S. and China agreeing to reopen some lines of communication after yesterday's meeting between Presidents Biden and Xi Jinping.
One of the outcomes of the 3-hour talks was the agreement to empower key senior officials to work on areas of potential cooperation. Back in the summer, Beijing had cut off such contacts with the U.S. in protest of House Speaker Pelosi's trip to Taiwan.
I asked that Secretary Blinken travel to China to follow up on our discussions and continue keeping the lines of communication open.
The president said he believes that China and the U.S. should be able to work together to solve global challenges.
That is White House correspondent Greg Cluxton. And in health news, Walmart has agreed to pay $3.1 billion to settle lawsuits nationwide. This deals with the impact of the prescriptions its pharmacies filled for powerful prescription opioid painkillers. The Dow is ahead 77 points, down the NASDAQ up 185. More at townhall.com.
I'm Lance Wallnau, Christian author and evangelical leader, here to remind you that God's gifts should never be taken for granted. Take, for example, your retirement savings. You've worked hard for your money, and God has rewarded you for that. Now, with record inflation eating away at the value of the U.S. dollar, those rewards are literally being taken from you. But there is a way the faithful can fight back. By diversifying your retirement account into gold, your savings can be protected. And that's what God wants. Even better, a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group allows you to transfer your current retirement funds into gold without fees or penalties. To see how it works, text the word FAITH to 989898 to get a free info kit on gold IRAs. That's FAITH to 989898. Take action right now, and I pray that your family is blessed with continued prosperity.
From the News Talk STL Newsroom, I'm Joey Vasovich. A jury awarded $1.7 million on Friday to two women who said they faced discrimination while working as salespeople at Mercedes-Benz of St. Louis at Hampton and 40. The women claim they were called derogatory names, kept from getting sales and promotions, and required to unfairly split commissions with their male colleagues. According to a Facebook post made by Maryland Heights Police, scammers are creating fake profiles pretending to be the police department and posting links asking followers to buy merchandise with the department's logo on it. The department is asking anyone who sees one of these fake posts to report it as spam. The Missouri Botanical Gardens annual light show called the Garden Glow is nominated for a USA Today's Reader's Choice Award for Holiday Garden Lights Tour. This round of voting goes until December 5th, and the top 10 winners will be announced on December 16th. The Muni Theater in Forest Park announced their 7-show lineup for the upcoming 105th summer season. Shows include Sister Act, Chess, Rent, and Beauty and the Beast. Pop star Lizzo announced she is coming to Enterprise Center on April 25th for her special tour. General tickets go on sale Friday at 10 a.m. A week before Black Friday, the St. Louis Cardinals are celebrating Red Friday. Ticket packages and all-inclusive tickets for the 2023 season will go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. Fans can purchase 5, 6, and 10-game packs. 5-game packs start at just $54. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to newstalkstl.com.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
It's still a little foggy out there today, but the temperature reaching about 40 degrees, so a lot of this snow is melting, and it should be basically dry for the rest of the day. Overnight lows tonight in the 20s, mid to upper 20s by tomorrow morning, and a high on Wednesday of 36 degrees. It'll be a breezy day under cloudy skies. Temperature up to 40 by Thursday. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Gerhardt.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by The Dental Link. Call Dr. Alan Link today, 314-794-6464, to schedule your free consultation. Offices in Baldwin and Melville, 314-794-6464. Tony Colombo.
Libertarianism is all about individual liberty.
Katie Fitzpatrick.
Oh, good for you.
Colombo and Katie on News Talk STL.
Time to rise has been engaged. We're better, best to rearrange. I'm talking here to me alone. I listen to the finest work song. Your finest hour. Your finest
Hello and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. I am Tony Colombo here again with producer Stell. Of course, my partner Katie Fitzpatrick is on maternity leave.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Good, thanks.
Thanks for waiting until my headphones were plugged in to talk to me so I could hear you. And as he has been doing with Katie on maternity leave, there's been several folks who have really stepped up and helped me out in her absence. Still, of course, number one on that list. And also, every Tuesday and Thursday has been helping me out, of course, and joins me on the line again today is our buddy Crane Durham from NothingButTruth.com. Crane, brothers, don't shake hands. Brothers got a hug. How's it going, buddy?
Amen. Good to be with y'all.
How are
Lots
you?
to discuss.
Oh my goodness. There is, listen, I'm always like, okay, you know, anybody who knows me knows that time management is a struggle for me on a daily basis. So I am always cramming, you know, last minute show prep and the minutes before the show starts. And today it's just like, there's so much. There's just so much. I try to prioritize the stories, in order to make sure that we get to the most important ones. And it's just like today, it's like, where do we start and how do we get to them all? There's so much to talk about. Interesting point that I want to start the show with. So Crane will be here as he does every Tuesday and Thursday for the entire 2 o'clock hour, and then also I should remind you in the 3 o'clock hour, our part of the 3 o'clock hour before Tim Jones and Chris Arps take over at 3:30. So just after 3 o'clock. We are going to talk to the guys at Crypto World. Crypto World is the only brick and mortar store in the world dedicated to cryptocurrency, and it's right here in the St. Louis area. We've had them on many times. You guys have heard them on News Talk STL since day one, and there's having that in our area is already a tremendous asset. But with everything happening in the cryptocurrency market in that whole
the universe, the crypto universe,
the crypto universe right now, we're even more lucky to have those guys, right here in our area. So we will talk to the guys from Crypto World and try to make some sense of everything that's happening with this cryptocurrency market crash,
FTX
platform.
Yeah.
politics are tied into it, and of course, a lot of people's money and tied up into it. So
I bet Crane's got a little.
Yeah, looking forward
comment
to.
on that.
Yeah, we can get into that as part of the 2:00 hour, but we will definitely unpack that and hopefully get you guys some answers and information, because a lot of that stuff, the whole cryptocurrency situation is already very confusing to many people, just
including me,
on its own.
Yes.
And now, with all this other stuff happening and all these layers, and it can definitely get very confusing very quickly. So the guys at Crypto World will help us unpack that whole story in the 3:00 hour. So a little bit less than an hour from now. Make sure you keep it here for that. As I mentioned, quick interesting point to start today's show. Today, the world's population hit 8 billion people.
Oh my goodness!
So we've crossed a milestone.
I wonder where that 8 millionth person
8
is
billion.
located.
Yeah,
8 billionth.
Yeah, who was number 8 billion? When what do you get? You should get something, right? Ding 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 ding. You're the 8 billionth person born in the world. So there you go. The world's population officially hit 8 billion people today. Interesting. Yeah. So I thought that was an interesting little tidbit to start things off with. All right, where to go, Crane? It's now officially a week from election night, and still counting in some of these places. Pretty amazing, isn't it?
It really is, and it's a message to those states to get a system that works. And look at Florida and how well they do.
Yeah.
Definitely, each state should have its own system. I believe in that. That protects us from mass fraud, etc. But it should be the very best system, and the people of that state should demand it. The thing that gets me is we continue to hear of stolen election, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm deeply troubled by that. I think that is really harmful, because it's an extraordinary charge, and that requires extraordinary evidence. And so if you make that kind of charge, you're undermining the system. I heard somebody talk about how if the NFL, they played the game, play the Super Bowl, say, boom, the losing coach goes up and says, this game was rigged. Okay, that's the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just thinking about that. This is our government.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty serious.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems it doesn't it just seem, if nothing else, disingenuous that the people that are screaming the loudest about the dangers of questioning elections and have been the harshest on anybody who's raised questions about the 2020 election, about how dangerous that is, to raise those type of questions. Doesn't it seem disingenuous that those same people are the ones that seem okay with a system that takes a week plus to count votes?
Well, the other part to that is you go to where this originated, Hillary Clinton campaign, loser, lost to Donald J. Trump, okay? And she had a storyline, a narrative that she was able to influence, not only influence, get people from the Department of Justice, including the FBI, to go forward with. I mean, that's horrible. If you want to talk about manipulation of the system, et cetera, let's just air it all out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Crane, if I can add just a little side note here, since you brought up the NFL, how about Major League Baseball in the World Series a couple of years ago? If we're going to talk about issues with
the Astros?
The cheating,
Yes.
Yeah, the cheating scandal.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Right, we're up in arms about that.
Yeah. folks are still ticked off
But
about
we're
that.
okay with counting votes for a week plus.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of set the table here for everybody on exactly where we are at this point. So as of showtime, Republicans are officially one seat away from securing the majority in the United States House. There are 13 races that are still yet to be called. Most of them are in California, which I'll explain why in a second. That will determine how close the margins could be for the GOP should it ultimately prevail. So, as we know, a party must win 218 seats to win a majority in the 435 seat body. So here's where we're at. Here's those 13 races, and Stell, you keep count. So the Republicans need at least one, which is assumed that is going to happen. But here we go. There's 13 seats out there, one of which is in Alaska. Alaska's at-large congressional district has been rated by Fox News Power Rankings as a lean Democrat due to the state's newly implemented ranked choice voting system, giving incumbent Democrat Mary Peltola an advantage against her Republican opponents, former Governor Sarah Palin and others. Sarah Palin, woof, man, talk about a fall from grace. So that one, probably not gonna go to the Republicans. So that's not your seat. In Maine similarly implemented a ranked choice voting system following a statewide referendum in 2016. Incumbent Democrat Representative Jared Golden failed to reach 50% of the vote last week, but is currently leading former Republican congressman who is taking him on there. So that race is being called a toss-up at this point. So that's 2 of the 13.
Mm-hmm.
One's lean Democrat. One is a toss-up. Okay. Everything else is in California. We'll go through these quickly. Republican Kevin Kiley holds a commanding lead over Democrat Kermit Jones. However, approximately, and here's what's going on in California, only a little over half the ballots have been counted in what is being called a likely Republican race. California accepts mail-in ballots for a week. So all the way through today, California accepts mail-in ballots following Election Day as long as the ballots are postmarked by Election Day. So that's what's taking so long in California. They will count the votes as they show up 7 days later in their mail-in voting system. So only
California
half the votes.
Also,
go ahead. No, go ahead, Crane. No,
jumping
please.
in,
Yep.
I know, pardon me, but they also allow the homeless to be on the street, the addicted to suffer, and crime to go nuts in California.
Yeah. And
way to go, California.
Yeah, up to $1,000.
Big
You
state, I
can
know.
just walk in and steal anything you want off the shelves as long as it's less than $1,000. No harm, no foul. Okay, so again, only 50% of the vote counted there, but that is a likely Republican race. So there you go. There's your one. There's your one, right? Okay, we're being very conservative about this, and that is definitely your one. Now here's the rest. All in California. California 6, incumbent Democrat is leading the Republican there. The seat's considered to be safe for the Democrats. So nothing there. California 9, incumbent Democrat Josh Harder holds a large lead over Republican, and that is a lean Democrat seat. So nothing there. California 13 is a toss-up race. So that one is Republican right now narrowly leads that race. But again, with these mail-in votes coming in a week late, that's one of the reasons why. So there's a lean the Republican there in a tight race. Right now, the Republican is ahead. California 21 is a safe Democrat seat. California 22 is another tight race. The incumbent Republican leads the Democrat challenger right now, but still considered a toss-up. California 27, the incumbent Republican Mike Garcia holds a commanding lead over the Democratic challenger right now in what is a lean Republican seat. So let's put that one clearly in the Republican column. And then California 47, incumbent Democrat Katie Porter leads Republican challenger Scott Baugh. That one is considered a toss-up. But again, the Democrat leads right now. 3 more. California 49, toss-up race. The incumbent Democrat is leading the Republican there in a very close race, but still considered a toss-up. California 3, incumbent Republican Lauren Boebert was not expected to have such a close race, but it is. And however, that seat remains to be considered likely Republican. So let's put that one in their column. And then the last one out there is California 8, Democratic candidate narrowly leads the Republican in that race at this point. But again, that race is actually expected to lean Republican as well. So
that's
certainly in there that the one seat that they need is going to happen for the Republicans. But after kind of running through those still. What is sort of the best case scenario? Like, I mean, like if we count only the lean Republicans, I mean, we're only talking about a 2 or 3 seat majority, and let's say they get half the toss-ups, then maybe that adds another 1 or 2. So best case scenario for the Republicans at this point, maybe a 4 or 5 seat majority.
222, maybe. What do you think, Crane? At best,
the number is, I think, on the high end I heard 220, and on the low end I heard 219.
219, 218. Yeah. 218 is the number.
218, obviously, but yeah, it's just after last week, there's nothing that is beyond the realm of possibility, it seems.
Yeah. So, and we talked a lot about this yesterday. We were playing the a week ago today game. We can still play that because a week ago today, Crane, when you and I were talking at this time, it was election day, but it was still mid-afternoon, so no numbers had come in yet. So a week ago today, right now, if we would have said that next week when you're on Tuesday, we'll be talking about the best case scenario for Republicans is maybe a 4-seat majority in the House. That would have seemed
nuts,
impossible.
Yeah,
correct.
Absolutely, and here's the good part of that. Really, I have to find it, and what I found is the American people want to have people that understand policy and can govern. They're not into conspiracy theories. They're not into the big personality. They are more into, hey, I got inflation. That's a huge problem. I've got other economic problems as well, and that's together with inflation. And I got a crime problem. Not that there can be much on the federal end of that, but there can be some action. And when Republicans are discussing the issue of life, tell the truth about if you're running for federal office, it is not in your purview. It's settled by the states. And what I love about that is we actually get a chance to discuss it, to debate it, and change people's minds, the ability to persuade. When you get to Washington, you're not into persuading people. You're enabled to take issues that have about 70 to 80% popularity and legislate.
Absolutely. And Kate, Crane, I wanted to ask you about the we mentioned in that Alaska race that how the ranked choice voting is playing such a role, and in that Maine race as well. We've actually seen ranked choice voting here in the St. Louis area in the last round of city elections. We used the ranked choice voting system here in St. Louis. Stella and I, very clearly on the record, have not being a fan of the ranked choice voting system. Where do you stand on that whole
situation? I'm right with you guys.
Yeah.
It's
creates confusion. Again, if the most important thing is election transparency and integrity, counting votes a week later, allowing a system to be set up that basically almost forces that to happen, that you're never going to have results on election night, and installing systems like ranked choice voting, all of that just seems to create confusion and questions. So again, to me, it's just disingenuous to say that you are concerned about fighting for election integrity and transparency if you're okay with systems that allow votes to be counted a week later
and adjusted,
or the confusion that surrounds ranked choice voting.
Yeah.
And how about the fact that you are supporting candidates that are, quote, election deniers, and there's a threat to democracy? I mean, someplace there, cognitive dissonance. I mean, it's strange that a party would promote people in the Republican Party who they think are the threats to democracy. It's crazy. And with the mainstream media that would actually cover and call strikes and balls and do it without an RRD, wow, this story would resonate more. I mean, I find that despicable.
So we're seeing also another big headline of this week has been the battle for leadership in the Republican Party, and the Senate vote, I believe, is going down tomorrow. Today, just this afternoon. So a little bit of newer news here. Kevin McCarthy has won the GOP nomination for
the
House
vote.
Speaker. Yes,
Okay.
McCarthy lost 31 votes from his caucus, but will move on to the final contest before the full House in January. Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy won the Republicans' designation for House Speaker today, but questions remain over his ability to lock up the spot on the floor in January. McCarthy beat back a challenge by more conservative elements in the House Republican Conference, represented by Representative Andy Biggs of Arizona. The final vote tally was 188 to 31. Most of Biggs' support came from members of the House Freedom Caucus. Biggs had previously chaired the group, which counts more than 24 House Republicans among its membership. McCarthy, meanwhile, was able to assemble a large cross-section of House GOP conference behind his candidacy that included conservative hardliners like Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and centrists like Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania. Of course, to become Speaker, McCarthy will need at least 218 votes in the entire 430 member House when that happens in January. Crane, any surprises or reaction to Kevin McCarthy winning that nomination today?
Obviously, he deserves congratulations for that, I would say, but I just think he's a bad communicator. I don't think he's very bright. I know that's harsh, but that's really what I've seen over the years. And
I expect nothing less than hot takes out of you.
And
There you go.
I
There
agree
it
with
is.
you. He's a nice guy, but no, I agree with you totally. Yes, from my end too.
And on the Senate, that's been a hotly debated topic over the last several days. Many big name Republicans, including both senators from Missouri, or at least the senator-elect Eric Schmidt and Senator Josh Hawley, have not only spoken out and said that the vote should be delayed, but they have both of the senators here in Missouri have spoken out against Mitch McConnell and are not supporting him. Other big names like Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio on that list as well. However, I think it's still fairly the belief is that Mitch McConnell will hold on to that leadership position, but a lot of challenges there. How do you size that whole thing up?
Well, as you mentioned Ted Cruz, who I'm a huge fan of, and Marco Rubio. I'm also a huge fan of his. Mitch McConnell's, from what I understand, is good at obstruction, but when he brings policy, and I heard this earlier, he doesn't allow amendments to their legislation. And a lot of times that's frosted some of the people who are in the Senate who desire to be president of the United States. So there's parts of that. I think that if you look at what he's done and continue to do, you can make the case, hey, he's doing the best he can, but he did speak out against candidates in the primary, or excuse me, in the general about that. And so it concerns me to have that. At the same time, was he just being honest?
Is that the time for that?
I don't think it's the time for that. I don't think it's the time for that.
I mean,
No,
it's always good to be. It's always good to be honest. But if you're gonna all of a sudden inject yourself, where were you months ago? Why now?
Well,
and you know what I mean? Like, I think that.
Yeah, and Tony, this is the thing on that. The idea that he is in this position, and when we criticize, or you criticize your own camp, you better make a huge case against the other side, because they're doing far worse, proposing far worse things. And you're going to keep the focus there, even if you have some weaknesses.
We're going to take a quick break. Crane Durham from NothingButTruth.com is with us for the entire 2 o'clock hour today. As we mentioned, so much to talk about. One place that they finally did finish counting, or at least enough to make an announcement, was in Arizona, Stell, and I know that the results announced that Kari Lake has lost that governor's race was made some big waves last night. So definitely want to talk about that. Donald Trump's big announcement is tonight at 8 o'clock our time. So I want to discuss that a little bit as well. Got a Paul Pelosi attack update.
Ooh,
and
an
update on, speaking of the United States Senate, West Virginia and Joe Manchin always in the spotlight, and a little bit even more today. We'll tell you about that and more when we get back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Stream Colombo and Katie at newstalkstl.com. St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Let me start off with 2 words. Made in America.
Even Biden's sentences are experiencing inflation.
MAGA Republicans. MAGA Republicans. MAGA Republicans.
No clue. He's just totally out of touch.
MAGA Republicans.
We're in a world of hurt in this country.
MAGA Republicans.
His mental capacity is diminished.
MAGA Republicans. MAGA Republicans.
101.9 and 94.1.
It's unbelievable what we watching.
News Talk STL.
So we talk a lot about the changes that have been happening in the economy and in the markets. One thing that is still holding strong, though, and is still the truth, is that it is still a great time to sell your house. But with all of these changes happening, you don't know how long that opportunity is going to be available to you, how long that window is going to be open. So if this is something you've been thinking about, you need to call the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway immediately. You guys have heard me talk about our great experience working with Rodney and Jen. Every day, my wife and I wake up in our new house, which we absolutely love, and are thankful that we worked with and, we're aware of and met Rodney and Jen Wallner for so many reasons. They are selling 15 times more homes per year than your typical home seller. Plus, they have so many qualified buyers right now that they guarantee to get you an offer. So the numbers speak for themselves, but on a personal level, they are just great people to work with. They are a married couple. They bring that family perspective to the conversation, especially if you're looking to buy a house on the other side of selling your home. That was so important to us. And their work ethic is just second to none. That is why they get the results that they do, because they work hard for you and to make sure that they are maximizing everything possible when selling your home. So again, if you have heard me talk about the success we had selling our home, or other people in your life, friends and family that have done so and are afraid that the opportunity has passed you by, it hasn't, but you never know how long that window is going to be open. So you need to call the Wallners now. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner Home Selling Team.
What if everything you thought and believed to be true about owning and buying your home turned out to be wrong?
Straightforward, objective advice on the right way to make the most out of every dollar you put into your home.
We're the only country that has one of those. Most other countries, considering like Canada, the UK, they don't have long-term fixed-rate mortgages like that. They're all variable-rate mortgages.
HomeWise with Michael Midget, Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
It's Tuesday and Tim is back. We'll speak with David Stotz from the Show Me Institute at 4:25, and we'll talk about the exciting House and Senate leadership races.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Tony Colombo here with producer Stell and Crane Durham from NothingButTruth.com. Joining us in the entire 2 o'clock hour, as he does every Tuesday and Thursday while Katie is on maternity leave. Crane, tonight, the much anticipated Donald Trump announcement. You know what? When he announced the announcement a week or so ago, you didn't think it could get more anticipated, but after the drama of the election, it's even more, I think, anticipated to see what the former president is going to announce tonight. Is there any chance, Crane, that it's not an announcement of a presidential candidacy?
I think there's a chance. I think the fact is there's some feedback, early polls, and judging those. I mean, we don't have a lot of them, but there is a trend to see that DeSantis is over Trump, and that members of the Republican Party would support Trump if he were the nominee, but don't want him to run again. And there's a good group there that is expressing that. I think I asked the question today on the website, which is, do you want Donald Trump to run again 2024, and tell me why? And I think the why is so important here.
Yeah.
Because he's going to make an announcement in either way, but why I don't want him to run is because of his behavior. And I don't want that behavior in the Oval Office again.
Could the
is not what's that?
I was just going to ask if there was a consistent. I'm sure you got answers across the board, but was there one or two answers on the why or the why not that were popping up more than anything else? Yeah, go ahead.
I will tell you Thursday because I put it up right before the show.
Gotcha. So the poll is go vote. Everybody needs to vote. NothingbutTruth.com.
Go vote.
Because I understand that that why not, because of the personality, because of some of that just negative
January 6th
behavior that he brings along with him. But I mean, could it also just be as simple as not me, but just saying, like, the people saying, I just think Ron DeSantis is a better candidate. Like, that's simple.
I think that, I mean, Tony, you make a great point, because you're looking at things and it becomes a loyalty pledge almost with Donald Trump. And if you oppose him, you're going to get heat for that. That's something that's not healthy for a party. Bullying people is not healthy. Okay? It exists. I get it. As I've said countless times, I cried tears of joy for his presidency. He did a lot of great things. But his behavior and him being the vessel for a conservative voice, not the best vessel there.
Donald Trump, whatever he announces tonight, it has to be impactful. It has to be a major announcement, because he took some damage over the last week or so. There's no doubt about that. And if he comes out tonight and it's not a candidacy announcement, and it's something else that people could construe as, like, gaslighting, or like, just him grabbing the attention and making us all think one thing and then pulling the rug out. He can't take that kind of a hit right now. I don't think so. It's got to be something impactful. So if it's not him announcing his candidacy, what else could it possibly be?
Yeah, you wonder, but he's full of surprises. And the other point to this is, over the next 2 years, if he does decide to run, there's going to be conversations going back and forth. And I'm asking, why? Why would you support, in light of these actions, why would you support Donald Trump? And I think that's the question for the Republican Party. Because if you support him, he's going to get more powerful regardless of who wins the 2024 election.
Well, I encourage everybody to go to nothingbutTruth.com, Crane's website. I mean, you need to, it's a great place to go to get your news every single day. But vote in this poll, and then we can, because I'd love to see I'd love to discuss the results on Thursday of how of what people are
It'll
saying.
be great. Contact Crane is where you vote. Contact Crane.
Okay, sorry.
It's up there.
Gotcha.
You'll see it, and it'll be all good. No, but it is it is working as a poll in that way.
Very good.
And I'm not trying to over promote there, pal.
No, not whatsoever.
Okay.
But you can still find it at nothingbutruth.com, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. It's up. It's going. It's good. And what I love about this program is you create a space for conversations to take place in light of what has happened, not all because of Trump. It's not all Trump, but in light of what's been happening with speech.
Well, it's
and
because that's
people's
what's happening.
political
Because
views.
you have to have because these are the conversations that real people are having all over the country. So if we are going to appeal to real people and real voters and regular listeners, regular people, you have to talk about what they're talking about. And it's funny because Chris Harps and I talked about this a little bit on the air yesterday, and we've talked about it off the air. And you know very well, Crane, and so do you, Stel, that these days if you bring up anything negative about anybody, even if you're just analyzing something, just the facts, that this happened. It was not a good week for Republicans. It was not a good week for Donald Trump. Then just saying those words in some people's minds are you're attacking Donald Trump and you're tearing him down. And I guess you just support Joe Biden and everything that the Democrats have ever stood. That's and that makes it. It does make it, unfortunately, for some people, more difficult to decide to have these honest conversations because they know that they're going to get that attack, from a cross section of people. But the fact is that these are the real conversations that people are having. So they need to be had, and we will have them here.
What do we all want? Yeah, what do we all want? We want the very best for our country.
Best for the
Different
country,
ways to get
exactly.
there.
Yep.
And we can have that. It's so important. If we can just have a full conversation back and forth and going, and don't deify Trump. I love Ronald Reagan. Let me say this. I love Ronald Reagan. My favorite president. And I look at what he did with Japanese imports, and I didn't like that. Now, I was a kid at the time, so I read about the Japanese imports later. But he assessed a tax, and there was an act of protectionism. Look. Don't deify someone.
Yeah, you can you could be you could be a supporter of somebody, you can like somebody, and you can also provide honest criticism when you see something that you don't like out of that person, and it doesn't mean that you have somehow turned your entire political beliefs or opinions, done a 180 and switched parties because you're making some criticism. And that's the way it will always be here on this show and on this radio station, News Talk STL. Every host here believes that strongly. Before we move on, Stel, in your eyes, any chance that this is not a presidential candidacy announcement tonight from Donald Trump?
Probably not.
Yeah,
I would agree with
that's
you.
what you're expecting.
I think
that
so.
announcement to be made.
Yeah, unless he's going to share recipes or something.
See, that's what I'm saying. He can't do that. He can't do that. It can't be like a whoop, pull the rug out because he cannot take that kind of a hit right now. So it's gotta. He better bring the heat tonight at 8:00. And we'll be all over it, of course, here on News Talk STL. Let's see. As I mentioned, where we want to go next here, let's go to West Virginia. Joe Manchin has received a Republican challenger for his West Virginia Senate seat. Representative Alex Mooney of West Virginia announced today that he will run for Senate in 2024 to try to unseat Joe Manchin. Looks like, Crane, the way that the Senate is shaping up, it's going to be very similar, maybe exactly like it has been for the last 2 years, which that setup definitely put Joe Manchin in the spotlight a whole bunch. That could happen again. With this challenger being announced, could Joe Manchin maybe even play it a little more conservative than he has over the last couple of years to try to hold on to hold on to his job in 2024?
Well, I think he's going to run for president. I think in 2024 he's going to run for president. But if he did come back to that, I think, like so many things we saw recently, relatively in history, we saw the Obamacare payoffs, right, to get people to sign on to Obamacare and using that. And that's what they did with West Virginia, with Joe Manchin. But I don't think the project actually got through. And so he came up empty in that regard. Maybe it did.
It was supposed to be in the budget bill, and then the budget bill got kicked down the road. So I'm not sure if that's ever been resolved or not yet. That's a great point.
Yeah, well, no, thank you for clarifying that, because if you look at what happens when it comes to legislation, do you want to have somebody who could go the right way, or is going to vote with you?
Yeah.
I'm going for certainty. I'm at one in the hand, better than two in the bush.
Joe Manchin will always remind you that he's a Democrat. At the end of the day, as many times as people have cheered his name and thought that he was, going to be the firewall. There's a reason that he's got the D behind his name. He's still a Democrat. It'd be interesting. You mentioned him running for president. Joe Manchin and Tulsi Gabbard running for president in the we used to be Democrats party. All right. Still plenty to talk about before we cut Crane loose at 3 o'clock. As I mentioned, I got an update on the Paul Pelosi situation. I'll tell you about that and more in just a moment on Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Talk radio made in St. Louis.
Very excited for what you guys are doing for the St. Louis community.
For St. Louis.
Relevant local talk.
Saying what we are thinking.
This is News Talk STL.
You guys are awesome. I love you. And it's a tremendous honor to be on the station.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Thanks for covering the local angle.
Come on, people. This is America.
We better open our eyes.
Really local, really good.
News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com.
Hey, it's Tim Jones. You need an event space that people will talk about later and forever? View 17 in Brentwood is that place. Perfect for corporate, private, or even public events. View 17 is ultra modern and fully broadcast ready for live streaming your event. And get this, all tech rentals are included in the rental fee. View 17 on the 17th floor of the old U Club Tower, like no other event space in the area. What a view. Check it out right now at VUE17.com. VUE17.com. I might even see you there.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
Rising crime.
Defund the police. It's insane.
News, analysis, opinion.
They can't handle 40-year high inflation.
The odds of a recession continue to grow.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Stream Colombo and Katie at newstalkstl.com.
You can stream us on our website, newstalkstl.com. You can also stream us on our app. Just search News Talk STL in your app store or Google Play Store. You can also live stream us and watch the show every day on the News Talk STL Facebook page, the News Talk STL, still waving at the cameras right now, the News Talk STL Facebook page, the News Talk STL Rumble page, and the Colombo and Katie YouTube channel. Every show here has its own YouTube channel. If you know why we don't have a station one, it's a long story and a part of the history of News Talk STL. No station YouTube channel, but every show has one. So make sure you're subscribed to Colombo and Katie and every other show here at News Talk STL on YouTube, and subscribe to Colombo and Katie on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss anything that happens.
Is that another story for another day?
The YouTube stuff? Yeah. It was before you started working here. Do you know that? Do you know any of it?
No.
Yeah, we used to have one, and we were swiftly removed by YouTube.
Oh, man.
Yes, but we're back, baby. Every show has got its own channel. Craig Durham from NothingButTruth.com with us for one more segment. The guys from Crypto World are going to join us just after 3 o'clock, and the perfect people to talk to with this giant cryptocurrency drama unfolding. So we'll get some information and some answers about that issue from the guys at Crypto World here in just a few minutes. Crane, I wasn't going to go this direction, but real quick, during the break there, glanced up at the television, and just as we were talking about 2024 and certain things, they on television were discussing the potential Republican candidates, and there were, I think, 8 pictures and names on the television outside of Donald Trump. So Trump would make 9. I didn't get them all, but DeSantis, obviously, Pence, Pompeo, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, as well as some others. I think Chris Christie was one of them on there. We all remember 2016 when 75 people ran for president. Do you expect, whether or not, whatever Trump says tonight, we only really talk about Trump and DeSantis. Do you expect there to be a large group of Republicans that end up getting in this race, or do you think it is going to stay pretty small as far as contenders are concerned?
Do politicians have egos?
Yes.
That's the question. Yes.
The answer is yes in all caps.
Absolutely. Yeah, if they think there's a chance, you're saying there's a chance.
You're saying there's a chance.
You have about 1% chance. You're saying there's a chance. Yes, I think they'll jump in. They want to run for president. It gives them a greater profile to the American people. And quite frankly, if people are going for the highest office in the land and have done that before, well, they believe they are the best for the job.
Well, it'll be super interesting to see what happens with Trump's announcement tonight. And then
what do you think?
Everybody as they fall in line. About Trump or about the whole thing in general?
Well, both you and Sel, what do you all think about those candidates jumping into the race?
I think Trump will announce tonight. I still believe that his announcement tonight is going to be the official announcement that he's running for president. And I think that I think that officially, I don't think it's going to be like double digits or even 8 or 9 or 10. I think you've got Trump, probably DeSantis, definitely Mike Pence.
Yep.
I think Mike Pompeo. I think Pompeo is
possible.
running. He's been basically living in Iowa, and that's what candidates do.
Supposedly Nikki Haley.
Yeah, Nikki Haley's kind of been doing that thing. You watch those behaviors. So I think we're going to see a handful, but I don't think it's going to be a large crowd. I could be wrong, but I just think that Donald Trump already takes up so much air in the room, takes up so much space.
Bandwidth.
Yeah, and then if you put Ron DeSantis on top of that, whew, I just don't see where there's any room after that.
Would Liz
Liz Cheney, I guess, hasn't she teased running?
Yes.
Yeah. So
who's that?
Liz Cheney.
Yeah.
Liz Cheney.
She's teased it in the past as well. I don't think she was one of them that was up on the television just now, but she has definitely hinted at that in the past.
Would someone like Chris Christie get?
Yeah, he was one of them. He's one of them that was on the list of potentials for sure. And like I said, we mentioned Nikki Haley and Tim Scott. Man, I've said this in the past. Any combination of Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, and Tim Scott, you can put them in any order you want. Secretary of State, President, Vice President, whatever. Woo, man, I like that team a whole lot. Update here on the Paul Pelosi situation. Paul Pelosi, attack suspect, pled not guilty today to federal charges. The Canadian man accused of breaking into House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's home last month and assaulting her husband with a hammer in the middle of the night appeared in federal court for the first time today, pleading not guilty in a brief hearing. David DePape, and that is officially the way I'm pronouncing that name from now on. I've heard it different ways, but I think DePape is the correct way. 42 years old, faces federal charges of assaulting an immediate family member of a federal official and attempted kidnapping of a federal official for the alleged home invasion. that sent Paul Pelosi to the hospital. The charges carry a 30 to 20 year prison term, respectively. The suspect spoke with his attorney, a federal public defender, in hushed tones and only spoke up to tell the court his name during the 10-minute hearing in which he appeared shackled in an orange jail jumpsuit. He also faces state charges that carry penalties of up to life in prison. But obviously that is separate than these federal charges. Crane, that story is playing out, and I think we all, and maybe at least as this goes forward, we'll finally get some real information.
All right, I jumped out of there. Sorry.
I'm sorry
about that.
I mentioned
this.
Go ahead.
Yes, go ahead. You go ahead.
David DePape pled not guilty to federal charges today to assaulting Paul Pelosi, and I said, at least as this goes forward, maybe we will start to get some real information about what actually happened that night.
One thing that still has me stumped is how did this guy stay under the radar for, I guess, up to 20 years as an illegal immigrant from Canada? And I guess his green card ran out and he reapplied for something else. And those go in 6-month increments, don't they? I believe
he
they
was
do.
kind of living like a hippie. I think he was kind of living
under the radar.
Under the radar.
But it's an excellent question.
Off the grid.
Oftentimes when we talk about, I'm no fan of gun control whatsoever, but they often talk about the behaviors before some kind of shooting or mass shooting. And could somebody be alerted, the police? It was on their radar, etc. And that's an area where people, if you have a concern, you should let others know about it.
Absolutely.
But obviously, this guy is 20 years off the grid, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
Crane, when we
Not
talk
off the grid, no.
When we talk next on Thursday,
yes,
are we going to have the results of last Tuesday's election? Will election night finally be over when we talk to you on Thursday?
I'm going to say no. I think it will be, because they're going to go, and I could see it just not happening. I mean, 2 days from now, I don't think so. But I could be wrong. I hope, right.
I think that's where the safe money is. Unfortunately, I think that's the safe bet. In the meantime, don't forget to go to nothingbutTruth.com. You should be going there on a daily basis anyway, but definitely go there over the next couple of days to vote in the poll that Crane has up right now, because I would love to discuss those results. And Crane, one more time, how people can find the poll and what the question is.
It's the headline, and then you go to Contact Crane. It's very easy. Just pull up the page, boom, click the headline. Oh, it's Contact Crane. You'll see Contact Crane. Boom, go to it, and it's right there. So just let me know what you're thinking and why.
The question is, do you support Trump?
Yes or no.
Yeah, it's do you support Trump and why? Right, correct?
And you can comment, and you can comment. So if people who want to comment can, people who want to answer yes or no.
Love it. And we'll have those results in 2 days.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Crane Durham can count faster than they can in Arizona and California. No doubt about it. So looking forward to that. We will go over those poll results and have lots to talk about next time we talk to you on Thursday. Crane, thanks so much as always for your help, and have a great rest of your afternoon. You bet. That is
Take care, y'all.
See you, buddy.
That is the great Crane Durham. The guys from Crypto World joining us after the top of the hour news to try to help us make sense of this drama playing out in the cryptocurrency world right now. So don't go anywhere. We also have some more headlines that we will dive into when we get back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
News
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Budweiser's Guns N' Hoses returns to the Enterprise Center on Wednesday, November 23rd. This great St. Louis event is celebrating its 35th anniversary. Doors open at 4:30 p.m. General admission tickets are just $20. Guns N' Hoses features 12 professional boxing and MMA matches. All proceeds benefit Backstoppers. That's the Budweiser Guns N' Hoses, Wednesday, November 23rd at the Enterprise Center. For more information, visit stlgunsandhoses.com. That's stlgunsandhoses.com.
Can't say enough positive things about our family dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care. They have helped us out in so many different areas. The whole staff out there at New Creation Dental Care over the years. For me, just a life changer when Dr. Boscia diagnosed me with severe sleep apnea and then built me the oral appliance, the mouthpiece that I sleep with every night. I never had to deal with a CPAP mask or anything like that, and now have no sleep apnea, and it's been just an amazing change for me. Things like the My Forever Smile braces system and Grace going through her braces situation was such a big help, and it's just an example of all the great services. They're basically a one-stop shop for all your dental needs. New Creation Dental Care. If you're looking for a place to take your family, make sure you get out there and check them out. Learn more at newcreationdentalcare.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Key House Republicans nominating Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy to be Speaker in a closed-door conference meeting it held earlier today. McCarthy won easily 188 votes to 31. The future of abortion rights in Kentucky reaching a defining moment today when the state's highest court hears arguments over a sweeping abortion ban put in place by the Republican-led legislature.
The Kentucky Supreme Court hears arguments over whether to temporarily allow clinics to perform abortions while the main case works its way through the courts. University of Louisville law professor Sam Markison.
What's at stake is really the only realistic path to allowing abortions to resume in Kentucky.
It's the first legal test since voters in Kentucky and 3 other states signaled their support for abortion rights in last week's midterm election by rejecting a ballot measure aimed at denying any constitutional protections for abortion.
The justices indicate that they're giving a lot of weight or even some weight to that outcome. That would also bode well, I think, for the pro-choice side.
I'm Julie Walker.
Also at townhall.com, 2 years after losing re-election, former President Trump is poised to launch another run for the White House.
Trump is scheduled to make a major announcement at 9 p.m. Eastern Time tonight from his Florida resort. Longtime advisor Jason Miller has confirmed that the former president will use the announcement to launch a 2024 bid. In recent days, Mr. Trump has stepped up his public criticism of 2 popular Republican governors, Florida's Ron DeSantis and Virginia's Glenn Youngkin, who also are possible GOP presidential contenders.
White House correspondent Greg Cluxton. A higher close on Wall Street. The Dow was up 57 points. The NASDAQ adding 162. More at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold, the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky triumphantly walking the streets of newly liberated Kherson on Monday. He says his country appreciates the support it has received from the U.S. and European nations.
We are really thankful for Joe Biden and for Congress and for all support. Not only USA, United States, all Europe help us too very much. So thank you very much.
This comes as a Russian barrage of missiles hitting Ukraine. A couple of those missiles has strayed into NATO member Poland. Poland leaders calling it a crisis situation. After nearly 4 years of political deadlock and 5 elections, Israel swore in the most conservative parliament in its history today. Prime Minister designate Benjamin Netanyahu working to cobble together a coalition in the parliament. Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. Federal officials say airlines have to refund more than $600 million to flyers.
Frontier Airlines and 4 foreign carriers have agreed to refund more than $600 million combined to travelers whose trips were canceled or significantly delayed since the start of the pandemic. The Department of Transportation says it also fined the same airlines more than $7 million for delaying refunds so long that they violated consumer protection rules. The largest U.S. airlines, which accounted for the bulk of complaints about refunds, avoided fines. Consumers flooded the government with thousands of complaints about their inability to get refunds when huge numbers of flights were canceled in early 2020. I'm Norman Hall.
Walmart reporting strong third-quarter profits and revenue as more Americans seek to cut spending in the face of high inflation. Walmart sales rose 8.7% to $152.81 billion. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
You know what's going on?
Have our great awakening.
You see through the smoke screen.
It's cool to be woke.
News Talk STL.
Until it's not.
News, analysis, opinion. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton with your first alert forecast. Lots of clouds this evening. Might see a spotty flurry here or there. Otherwise, overnight we'll clear skies out, at least temporarily. A low of 28 and some sun in the morning. But then turning cloudy again in the afternoon. Breezy and a cold high of 36. Wind chill at 25 for Wednesday. Thursday, a little warmer but still cold. A high of 41. Mostly cloudy skies. That's the latest first alert forecast. I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
The latest news.
Historic landslide victory!
Things did not quite turn out the way we had hoped.
Congratulations to Governor Brian Kemp.
4 years to keep our state
The
moving.
news you need to know.
I'm grateful tonight.
Thank you so much.
Concede this race to J.D. Vance.
We won, and we won big.
And the place to talk about it.
Whether you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent.
The people have spoken.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. You're listening to Colombo and Katie.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. I want to remind you that if you missed anything from that 2 o'clock hour with Crane Durham, or you just want to make sure you never miss anything that happens here on the show, subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast platform, whatever it may be, Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google. You can find the Colombo and Katie podcast in all of those places. We post the show as a podcast shortly after we get off the air every day at 3:30. Again, just a perfect way to make sure that you never miss anything that happens here on the show. And you can also do that by subscribing to the Colombo and Katie YouTube channel, where we live stream the show every day, as well as post other videos there as well. Again, just another great way to make sure that you never miss anything that happens here on the show. All right, we have got one more segment to go here before we hand things over to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. And as I mentioned earlier, Since day one of this radio station, we have been talking to and about the guys at Crypto World, which is the only brick and mortar store in the world dedicated to cryptocurrency. It's here in the St. Louis area, in St. Charles, over there in St. Peter's, and it's a tremendous asset to the community to have it right here in our backyard, to have those guys here, is such a great asset because one of the main things that you can do there at Crypto World is take classes and get knowledge and learn about cryptocurrencies and about the crypto markets and all of that, because that understanding and that knowledge is I think the number one thing that people are looking for when it comes to the cryptocurrency world, for lack of a better term, and that's what they do best at Crypto World. So no better folks to talk to today with all of this drama unfolding across the cryptocurrency spectrum, and the last couple months have been full of it, but certainly the last few days have been full of it. So joining us on the phone now is Corey Seco, CEO there at Crypto World, to help us with some of these answers and information about all of these things that are happening. So, Corey, really, as always, appreciate your guys' time and for joining us here on Colombo and Katie. How's it going?
It's going fantastic. Yes, actually, I'm the COO. CEO is Jeff Wade. Awesome guy, by the way. But, oh, my goodness, with FTX and now, as we've unraveled it all, it not only has it become a story of, billions of lost money, but a story of millions of funneled political funds.
Yeah, I know. Politics playing a huge role in all of this as well. So can you just kind of explain to us, let's start with the basics, what FTX is as a platform, and why there was so much money, and why this was such a big player in the cryptocurrency space. Explain what that platform was and what exactly has happened here over the last couple of days.
Yeah, absolutely. So FTX was, in that sense, an exchange. An exchange is a place where you can go and buy crypto. So that said, you can, let's say that you want to go from Bitcoin to, let's say, Ether. You swap that through that. You do that at an exchange. Now, these exchanges really are supposed to be as simple as that. They make their money off of the fees. Like Coinbase, for instance, they make their money off of the fees. And that's all fine and dandy. You provide a lot of value. But what this particular exchange wanted to do is to provide yields. Now, what a yield is basically like a return on your money. You think about, you go to the bank, they give you 1% or 2% back or whatever, or 0.1% or whatever it is that they're offering. And they wanted to do something similar, except for they were offering 5%, 6%, 7%, 10%, and all of these extreme yields. And the way that they were doing it is they were taking your funds, because whenever you leave your money on the exchange and you don't take it immediately off, they now have access to those funds, and they were making risky bets with them. And the bets got riskier and riskier, and, well, not to ruin the punchline, I'm sure future questions you're going to ask here, but it got to the point in time where the whole thing was propped up by an artificially made token, the FTT token, and that was used to collateralize a whole other set of billions of dollars worth of other trades, and it completely unraveled. So essentially, in short, what it was a repeat of 2008. You had other people's money, other people's assets being leveraged at a 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 5-to-1, 10-to-1 ratio, and somebody else was making all these risky bets trying to make people money, and then whenever people started saying, hey, let me take my money out of the bank, well, the whole thing fell apart.
So we've talked to you guys, Jeff and Gary and others at Crypto World about this exact thing over the last several months and even years. But there is so much of that, like you just talked about that coin, and there's been so many stories about bogus plans, devious, coins created, a pump and dump and a rug pull, and, that have scammed people out of money, and, using cryptocurrency to do so. And when those happen, obviously it damages the reputation and it creates confusion and, makes people maybe not want to participate or trust cryptocurrency in general. But I think the lesson there, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, is that we talked about the classes that you can take at Crypto World to learn. The important thing is to arm yourself with the knowledge and the information to know where the scams are and where and what's legitimate, because what's legitimate is not going anywhere and is going to play a role, I think, in the world's economy for a long time going forward, and that role is going to grow bigger and bigger. But unfortunately, because of these scams that always, get front and center in the headlines, I think sometimes people assume that those scams are the entire cryptocurrency sphere, where it's not. And knowing the difference is the most important thing for people getting involved. Is that a fair assessment, if not maybe a little too basic?
Well, I would agree, Tony. I mean, at the end of the day, education is critical. It's easy to be caught up in something new and exciting that you don't fully understand, that people are making money off of, and just, as they say in the crypto world, ape in, or, YOLO. And it's easy to do that, but before you do, it's good to consult with someone. I mean, clearly, if you're nowhere near a crypto world, or that I would say go find an advisor, somebody that you can trust in this space. And of course, crypto world, we're going to be expanding locations through the years because this is important. But before you get into something, just ask yourself some basic questions as well and say, okay, well, how am I getting this? How am I making value out of this? Where's the money coming from? And if you ask yourself that question, because this was big, this was a multi-billion-dollar project with Tom Brady and the famous people supporting it. If you'd have just asked us for a second, okay, where's the money coming from? Where's it going? And how can I know for sure? And that's the beauty about crypto, is that whenever you get into the right projects, it's all transparent. You don't have to get on some exchange where you have no idea, which is now the new thing that's happening for exchanges like Binance is presenting all of its proof of reserves. It's showing all the assets it's holding, so that way it can show that it's not like if you did a bank run on it, it wouldn't like fall apart like it did with FTX. But if you just ask yourself, like, okay, where's the money coming from, and you checked and examined, it's kind of like don't trust, verify. That's the whole ethos of crypto. Like, if you figure out just enough to be able to verify and to look into something, then you would have stepped back and went, okay, I don't want my funds on FTX. They're a centralized entity that's nothing at all like what crypto is supposed to be like. They're run by a couple people that are cults of personality, and okay, I guess it's not necessarily a negative thing, but it's not a positive thing. They're putting money in all kinds of places that nobody can really track and can trace. If you see like a sheet of all the different organizations that were created, and you've got this offshore like Bahamas thing, and nobody knows what's happening or tracking it down, like that's crypto or not. That's not something you should get involved in.
Talking to Corey Seco, he's the COO at Crypto World, and we mentioned politics, and as this particular story with FTX unravels, and we find out that there was a lot of political spending involved as part of that platform, and that the CEO of that platform was involved in. And in speaking of politics, of course, federal regulation is something that has been hotly debated surrounding cryptocurrency. The Biden White House has come up and said that they are ramping up efforts to regulate cryptocurrency transactions. Last week, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said the Biden administration monitors cryptocurrency and considers it an important issue. How does that shape up? How do you see that happening? Because the whole deregulation, non-federal involvement is one of the very attractive things about cryptocurrency. How much can the federal government get involved, and how do you see that playing out over the next year or so?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, and probably the most hotly discussed one in the crypto space now for those who are deep in the space. For those outside the space, it looks like a debacle that's going to be on Netflix, just like Tiger King.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to unpack there for sure.
Yeah.
But for those of us in the space, it's like, okay, gosh, clearly this is not going to be favorable for regulations because the European Union, of course, the states, you name the country, they've all been thinking about regulations to this nascent space. What do you do with the industry? There's clearly opportunities to reshape and build all kinds of new viable systems that have never been able to be done before, with digital property rights, et cetera, et cetera. And there's a lot of beautiful things to unpack there, but most people just don't understand it. Regulators, worst of all. And what's most relevant with all this is Sam Bankman-Fried, the CEO of FTX. He was very much in bed with many, many different politicians, and tens of millions of dollars actually went into the political campaign. He was the second largest voter on the Democrat side, or funder on the Democrat side, just in the recent election. And he was the one who was actually writing these proposed bills. So just like 2 weeks ago, the bills that were going, to Senate for people to look at about crypto legislation, he was the one drafting and presenting those. And you have to wonder now, and based off of everything that I've seen, it seems like what he was proposing is probably more in line with what they'll do, which that's something in and of itself, but I can't imagine it's going to be as favorable. So those of us in the crypto space, and for those who aren't, I would recommend that you get into it because it's going to change the world.
Yeah.
Although, given this conversation, it probably doesn't feel like it at the moment, but it will.
Well, it's like we said, it's not going anywhere. It's going to it's only going to get more involved in the world's economy. So, learning about it and arming yourself with that knowledge and that education is probably the number one thing you can do, because I think, and we're almost out of time, so it's probably not fair to ask this question because it probably takes a lot more than a minute or so to answer. But I think the basic answer, is education. Correct me if I'm wrong. The people that are out there thinking, well, how do we dodge the scam? How do you get the scams out of it? How do you get all the corruption out of cryptocurrency if you don't have federal regulation? And I think the answer is knowledge. Educate yourself on the space that you should be in and the red flags to avoid. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I would say it's knowledge for you. Arm yourself with knowledge. It's knowledge for our community and also for our regulators. They need to understand that we can reimagine a much better society, not laden with a giant debt burden. We can overcome all this with the blockchain and with all these tools that we now have afforded to us. But you have to understand how to use them and how to solve real-world problems with them. So if you get it, they get it, and together we can figure it out. That's all we can do.
Absolutely. So if people want to seek out and get that education and that knowledge, it is one of the things that you offer at Crypto World. How do you find Crypto World? How do you get more information? All the details on how to learn more about Crypto World.
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, if you are in St. Charles area, or even if you're not, it's worth the drive. You can visit us at 2788 Mugi Road, and we're right next to Mario's. And come on in. Ask a question. Say, okay, what's Bitcoin about? How do I, with the FTX, with all people losing their money, it's because they left their money on the exchange. Go, okay, I've heard not my keys, not my crypto. How do I get how do I actually own my Bitcoin or whatever crypto? Walk on in. Ask us a question. We'll walk you through. and we'll take the time with you to help you get to the other side, understand crypto.
Great stuff. Corey Seco, COO of Crypto World. Certainly appreciate your time this afternoon. I'm sure we will be talking to you guys again very soon. In the meantime, have a great rest of your day, and thanks again for joining us today.
Yep, pleasure, Tony.
You bet. Thank you. That is Corey Seco from Crypto World. ShopCryptoWorld.com is also the website to check them out. All right, couple minutes to go here before we turn things over to Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Stell, I have a correction to make. I said earlier in the show, see how quickly we will correct the record here on Colombo and Katie if we make a rare mistake. When we were talking about ranked choice voting and the elections happening in Alaska and Maine, and you know how that's playing a role in why some of these numbers and these results are taking so long. I mentioned that we do that in St. Louis City. What we do in St. Louis City is not technically ranked choice voting. It is another version of, it's a two-part election system that's a little bit different than ranked choice voting. Similar in that you can vote for multiple candidates on the first ballot, like you can with ranked choice voting. But instead of it all being done where they just reshuffle and recount the same votes after eliminating the bottom candidates, which is what they do in ranked choice voting, and the way that they do it in the city of St. Louis is that it's a two-part election system where all candidates are on a single ballot the first time around. You can vote for as many as you want, and then after that, the top two go into a second election that then gets voted on.
And the individuals who were on the original ballot are listed as nonpartisan, so you don't know who's a Republican or a Democrat.
You know what it all is? Confusing.
Yes. It's as I'm looking at the sheet
here, unnecessary.
Yeah, it's like a different version of ranked choice voting, and granted, it's not given that name, but still, I'm looking at the information and thinking, well, you know, it's kind of close to it. But yes, I understand.
What's wrong?
There's a difference
with vote for your candidate.
Yes,
and the person that gets the most votes wins.
That's too simple. Yeah.
Why mess with it?
Yeah.
One more announcement here. One more piece of information. The performance of Jay Leno and Jeff Foxworthy, which was scheduled for this Friday at the Fox Theater, has been canceled after Jay Leno has suffered some burns in a gasoline fire. The Fox Theater announced this afternoon that Jay Leno suffered burns in a recent gasoline fire, but said he's doing okay. He put out a statement saying, quote, "I got some serious burns from a gasoline fire. I am okay, just need a week or two to get on my feet." The Fox Theater says all tickets will be automatically refunded at the point of purchase and will be processed this week. The theater adds that all ticket holders will receive credit in the next 7 to 10 days. So that show that was supposed to be coming to the Fox Theater on Friday is not. And I hope Jay Leno is okay after
indeed
getting burned.
Yeah, you know, he's besides his great automobile collection, he's a really good mechanic.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, the situation came up when he was working on one of the cars, and I don't know the details of it. But you're right. I hope he's doing well. I'm presuming the Fox Theater then is saying, don't hold on to your tickets for a future date.
Yep. Doesn't sound like it's being rescheduled. It sounds like it's being canceled, and all ticket purchases will be refunded at the point of purchase in the next 7 to 10 days.
Okay.
According to the statement from the Fox Theater. All right, that's going to do it for us this afternoon. Colombo and Katie back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Subscribe to the Colombo and Katie podcast on your favorite podcast platform and our YouTube channel so you never miss anything that happens here on the show. And keep it here for the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show. Tim back in the saddle today. They will get you through the rest of your Tuesday afternoon, so don't go anywhere. And thank you so much for listening to us and supporting us here at 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. subscribe, and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the Morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Colombo and Katie, Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL.
Fox News commentary.
More troubles ahead for the happiest place on earth? Go woke, go broke, Disney. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Starting to realize your small business is a little overwhelmed by the holiday rush? It's still not too late to get all of your shipping and mailing under control with Stamps.com.